This podcast is dedicated to people who are ready to take ownership of what it means to be born with high sensory intelligence and how to bring it into service for business, career, and organizations globally. Hello and welcome. Thank you for being here and joining me today. I am Willow McIntosh, founder of Illuminance and leader of the High Sensory Intelligence Movement. And in this episode, it is the very nature of high sensory intelligence that I am excited to talk about. So who is this episode for? This episode is for you. It's for you as a person who feels deeply. It is for you as a person who cares deeply. It is for us as people that have a very particular relationship with the world. We have a rich inner world. We have a care to do good in the world. And we are highly driven. We are driven to be in alignment with and to do justice to our own purpose, our cause in the world. Yes, to make a difference to the people that we know that we are here to serve, and because we, as we are all innately born with, a drive to want to make a difference in the world. For our own purpose in terms of wanting to do well for ourselves, to be successful, to look after ourselves and our families, to honour the peace that we know inside that is so important. And yet, the way in which we do this, the way in which we as people that have this level of care in the world, it's not the level of care, it is the level of care. What I mean to say, it is the level to which we feel and experience the world around us, coupled with this competence, this drive that we have within us, that we know we are here to make a difference, to do big things in the world. It's this culmination of pieces, this recipe that these ingredients create, that I want to talk about today for you in this context of high sensory intelligence. So, through my life, I have been on a continuous journey. I am continuously challenged in the area of owning how I see the world and how I can be deeply honest about what I am really here to do. So my life has continuously challenged me in this area. I have had to be very, very honest with myself about how I experience myself and how I experience the world. This happens for me in a fundamentally different way to many other people that I interact with, my friends, my family. It's just different. And so, because I was born with a drive to do well in business, I was born with a drive to be entrepreneurial. I've been as an entrepreneur and in business for the majority of my adult life. I want to be my own boss. I want to be on my own agenda. And it's because I am so deeply connected with this contract that I have with something greater than myself. And so through the journey of my life, I have had to learn how to normalize this experience of how I see the world. So let me talk about this high sensory intelligence piece. What do I mean when I'm talking about high sensory intelligence? To give some context to this high sensory intelligence, it is us, it is through our ability to, let me just come back 1 second there. I lost track. I looked at the time. Bear with me. I want to talk about the context of this high sensory intelligence. And I want to talk about that within the context of who we are as people that are born with high sensory intelligence. This is a trait that we are born with. It is a series of abilities that we have. It is about processing data, processing sensory data deeply. It is about being highly empathic. It is about being highly intuitive. It is about having a connection with something higher than ourselves. And I'm purposefully right now trying not to use too many woojie-woo words such as spiritual, but the reality is that we are highly spiritual people. In fact, high sensory intelligent people are leading the evolution of spirituality in the world. We are the people that have the capacity to take in the greater context of how the world is evolving, how the human race is evolving, and how we are deeply connected to something greater than ourselves. Us, with high sensory intelligence, we feel this deeply. It's just a reality of how we experience the world. So I am still hanging on to this piece of linking competence with high sensory intelligence, and I am still in the piece here of talking about my journey and how I've been in business and how I've had to deeply own this part of myself. And this episode is very much around us owning it and living it and normalizing it. And so what is it? What am I talking about right now? So from my own experience, and I am going to talk about some experiences of the people that I work with and have worked with over the years. But to share with you my experience, what I have been called to do and what I have had to do, what I have had to do for my own sanity, what I've had to do for my own success and my own general happiness and sense of contentment within my life. What I have had to do is I have had to be very honest about my reality, about my cognitive reality, about how I see the world. And so as a child, I had this visceral sensory experience happening where I was able to see what my senses felt like. I was able to see what my senses felt like. So one day as a child, must have been about 7 or 8, I can remember standing on the lawn of my home, and I can remember seeing what the grass smelt like. So I was witnessing the energetic flow of my olfactory nasal sensory ability. I was able to see what the sunlight felt like, the brightness of the sun. And I was able to see what my own feeling body was doing from a visual point of view. So what did that look like? Well, it looked like a flow of colours merging together. And also what was happening was there was this flow of energy happening around me. And as a child, I can tell you this felt like the most normal thing in the world. I mean, I had no anything else to compare it to, right? It felt like I was standing in this incredible adventurous playground where my role was to understand and witness this flow of myself and the flow around me, how I was a part of it, how there was a merging between myself and the other, and the fact that I was fascinated and driven and called to support this flow around me. And what I mean by that flow is what I refer to as love, as a capital L. It was Mother Nature doing her thing. It was Mother Nature on her daily mission of evolving, of a benevolent flow towards healing and growing and learning and evolving. So this was an incredibly powerful place for me to be as a child. And as many of us do, as we become adults, we lose touch with our experiences as a child. We lose touch with who we are, who we were as a child, that connection to our inner child, that part of us that just makes so much sense when we come into this world. We know who we are, we know what we're about, and our conditioning and society, it changes us, and we leave home and life hurts. We get challenged deeply. And so, it's about surviving. It's about making money. And those things become more important than keeping in touch with ourselves. Unfortunately, what we all come to realize is that unless we regain contact with that reality of who we are inside, that reality is who we were as a child, what we're really here to do, life simply sucks. We end up reaching, I'm 45 now, 45, 46. I always forget which one it is. I can never remember whether I'm coming into my next, does anyone else get that? When my next birthday, I'm 47? Anyway, it's either 45 or 46. So if I had come to this point in my life now, at the age, I think it's 45, when I'm coming to this age now, if I had not done the work that I had done to realign with this empowerment and alignment that I felt as a child, I can tell you I would be utterly miserable right now. And it's that misery that's driven me to be truly honest about how I see the world, how I interact with the world, what I really want to be doing with myself and the world. So, as high sensory intelligent people, as people that have this calling, as highly empathic people, heart-centered people who have this relationship to something higher than us, we have this deep and intimate sensory experience with the world around us. We feel things very deeply. We feel our emotions very deeply. We struggle with powerful emotions. When we express ourselves deeply, we often, the other side of it, think, oh my gosh, should I have done that? Should I have been so angry? Should I have been so sad? Should I have really expressed myself so deeply? We get this kind of awareness. It's like, whoa, that was massive. Am I still alive? Am I still safe in the world? Have I hurt anyone? That's certainly my experience. So this ownership of reality has been my path. So coming from this visceral experience as a child and having all of that shut down in me through my conditioning, and having to experience the pain and the grieving and the awful feeling inside that I had lost something so important to me as a child, and being called and driven to try to reclaim that. So that path and journey led me to a relentless pursuit of who I really was, who I really am, and what I'm really here to do in the world. And that relentless pursuit is what revealed my high sensory intelligence. It is what revealed a direct experience of my own reality, my cognitive perception, my cognitive reality. This is what I am here to talk about today. This is what I am here to talk about in you. I am trying to call upon, to awaken this awareness that you share your own version of this type of reality. So I've explained what it was like as a child, that visceral, energetic flow of energy that I was experiencing as a child. So what is that like as an adult? So what it's like as an adult is that my conscious awareness is big. It extends far out from my body, and that changes on a day-to-day basis. But actually, what it is it's like experiencing a sphere of, like an energetic sphere around me that is out doing stuff. Now, yes, all of us have that. All of us are consciously experiencing sensory data. Now, I am experiencing sensory data differently to most people, and so are you. 15% of the population are born with high sensory intelligence. There are other names for this, and I don't want to say them right now because I don't want us to get too lost into all of the content that's out on Google right now about this genetic personality trait, but it is a genetic personality trait. And right now, I just want to refer to it as high sensory intelligence because that is the reality of what it is. What makes the personality trait is known to for an ability to process sensory data more deeply. We are processing the data that's coming in through our senses more deeply. That is what is allowing this ability to have a higher sensory intelligence. So what it's like for me as an adult on a day-to-day basis is that I am feeling out into the world. And the way that I'm feeling out into the world is giving me information in an energetic perspective. So it's not like this all the time. Yes, when I'm in the supermarket, I can feel lots of stuff happening in the supermarket. I can feel the energy of the people around me. I can feel the energy of the person that cleaned the floor in the morning. I can sense a great deal of stuff in that supermarket. But of course, when I'm going about my day to day, I'm thinking about, what's going to go with this pasta that I've got in my basket. I'm not necessarily thinking about the enormity of my sensory experience. So it changes. But when I'm aligned and I'm grounded and I'm engaged, which is a continuous daily practice for me because that was shut down in me as a child. So that's been my challenge in life. And I'm going to be talking about the challenge that we experience in life and how important that is. Perhaps in this episode if I come to it, but definitely in another one. So the sensory experience is big. And what it's doing is, because it's like a clairsentience. So in other words, the feeling, my high sensory intelligence is based in feeling. That's where my kind of higher perception is taking place. And so I have this merging of the world as we see it, the hard kind of like physical reality around us, merging with this flow of energy. It's just always been there for me. And as an adult, I now experience that more as a white coloured energetic flow. Sometimes it kind of pixelates into little rainbows and pixelates into colour. But the majority of the time, I am affected by, my decisions are affected by, the things I say are affected by, and the actions I take are affected by how I perceive the feeling of this energy. So it's an intuitive conversation, communication, relationship that I have that is my drive. It's what's running me. So I'm aware that it's inside of me, but there is also a merging of the outer and the inner reality. So I have come to a point now in my life, not literally today, as I'm saying this to you, but in this part of my life right now, I am deeply engaged with this cognitive reality. It is the basis to the work that I do in the world. It is what allows me to do all of the facilitation that I do with my clients on a daily basis. My job and role in the world is to activate and align people that are born with high sensory intelligence to enable them to take ownership of what this intelligence allows them to do so they can be of service in the world, so they can turn it into a business, so they can create products and services, so they can go out and do work in businesses, organizations, in government, whatever it may be, to utilize this gift that they've got. That's the role. That's what I do. And the reason I'm so good at that is because I have been deeply challenged and tested in that area in life, because it was completely awake in me as a child, and then it was totally shut down during my childhood. So I then had to re-engage with it. So I am an expert in that area, and you are an expert in your area. So this is what brings us to this matching and merging of competence with high sensory intelligence. So I am talking to you as a person who has a reality that's like this. It's not going to be the same as my reality, but if this is resonating for you and you're in the right place today, I can pretty much guarantee that you are having a pretty expansive, conscious reality on a moment-to-moment basis. The likelihood is that you're not entirely engaged and owning that right now. You need to be facilitated to be able to get an objective experience of it, to be able for it to be reflected back to you so you can stand in it with a higher conscious awareness. That's a process that is required and able to, as I call, be initiated into your high sensory intelligence. Being initiated is not being initiated into my community, it's being initiated into your own high sensory intelligence. It's a personal initiation. So if you're in the right place right now, what I'm saying is going to be resonating for you. Hopefully it's starting to awaken you to the fact that you are seeing the world differently, that you are experiencing a bigger sensory experience. And it's linking that to an intelligence. There's a gift, there's an ability, there's a reason that you've been given this ability. But I'm very much talking to you in relationship to the competence that you feel in yourself. And what I mean by that is that you have been given feedback. Life has given you feedback where you've witnessed for yourself that you're very competent. You have ability in a particular area. You have gumption. You have drive to affect this area of competence in life. So, for instance, a part of what was driving me in my own journey, in my own life, was because I knew that I had a level of competence. I felt this drive in me. I felt this urgency to want to do good. And it was the contract that I had as a child with this flowing energy that was around me. I could feel the intelligence in this energy around me. That's what was so enthralling for me. It was just like, I cannot get my head around just how incredible this Mother Nature thing is that's happening. That's all of the energy and the water and the nutrients that's flowing through the plants and the animals around me in this living ecosystem that I'm standing in. And I could feel the life force flowing through it and through me. It was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I had this contract with that as a child. I had this part of myself that was going to do anything to be in service to that. It just came in with me as a child. It will never leave me, and it's what drives me. What also was driving me is that I knew I had this competence in me to do something about that. I knew that I was going to be able to do amazing things with this understanding of this energy, the fact that I could perceive this energy, the fact that I can perceive this energy in other people, the fact that the why that makes me want to cry, as it's known, and I love that, I've only heard that quite recently, but the why that makes me want to cry is the drive that I have in me to awaken people to their purpose and their passion. It just wells me up, literally as I say it. It's so important to me. I have to be doing that. And it's because I am in service to this greater context. And that is a subconscious, deep down part of myself. It's just there. It's like the part of us that makes us breathe and digest food on a moment-to-moment basis. That's just happening within us. This part is just literally happening within me. And when I'm not in service to that, it's agonizing for me. I just cannot live. I cannot live happily. I cannot live with contentment and meaning. So that is an example of what I mean by this competence. That is what I mean by linking this high sensory intelligence with this competence. This is the message that I'm sharing in this episode today, and it's directly for you, if this is resonating for you. And the reason I keep asking that question, the reason I keep saying these words for you, is because I really want to awaken this in you. And I also want you to know that I am here for you. That this message, the reason that I'm sharing this is because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel those things, to have this recipe, to have these ingredients. I know what it's like to not be serving that and to not be honoring it. And I know what it's like to have this trait. Well, I don't know what it's like to have this trait and not have this particular drive, but I do know that much of the resources that are out there on Google right now and all the other available search engines and social media, of course, is that there is a great deal of focus on the challenges of what it means to have this high sensory intelligence. It does mean we need more downtime. We have to have healthcare. We have to have a self-care regimen in place, which is a healthcare necessity. In other words, we can't get away with not having sufficient downtime, looking after ourselves, eating properly, exercising properly. We literally burn out because we are processing data so deeply. I am here. The reason I am sharing this with you today is because I want you to know that having high sensory intelligence and this level of competence, it is possible to align those and to become of great service in the world in terms of leadership, in terms of successful business, in terms of having the lifestyle that you're looking for. And it doesn't have to be creating a business for the sake of it, or creating a business just because, or creating a business in the way that other people seem to create business that don't have this kind of sensory experience. I'm here to tell you that you can have the lifestyle that you're looking for and be totally in ownership and engaged with how you see the world and being in alignment and honoring the greatest cause and what's most important to you. I'm saying this is a resource, this is a place for you to come to start to do the work that you know you're here to do. It's not about focusing on how to survive this trait. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk to you to help you to understand that the reason you are highly empathic, the reason that you're highly intuitive, that you're highly creative, that you have visionary abilities is as a result of having this high sensory intelligence. It's what gives you the gifts that makes you so good at the work that you're born to do in the world. And I am here to share with you and encourage you and support you to know that the way in which you want to bring your service into the world is possible and has the potential to be incredibly productive when you line it up with how you personally experience the world, how your high sensory experience is happening. Those two things are deeply linked in us. The piece that's so important to us and how we see the world. Those two things are in you. Nature has put those into you for you to fulfill a very particular role and task in the world. And so there's much more to say in this area. And I hope this has awakened you to consider many questions in this area, that it's inviting you to think deeply now about this reality of high sensory intelligence that is currently showing up in 1 billion people on the planet. It's in 15 to 20% of the population. And the reason that I'm leading this movement into the awareness of high sensory intelligence is because I'm here to reframe this. I'm here to reframe it away from the connotations of sensitivity that there is around this right now, because it hasn't been framed in the right way. And that's not through the fault of anyone. The people who have done the most incredible work around this trait, my goodness me, thank you so much for doing everything that you've done. But it's time for us to understand how to utilize this trait in a way that supports and helps us to activate this drive that's within us, this competence that wants to come forward in the world, to serve in the way that we know that we can, to do the work with the people that we know we want to work with, to speak at the level that we want to speak at, whatever it is that's calling you, whether it is an online course that you want to create, whether it is, you want to be doing workshops, you want to be going into businesses, you want to be going into companies, you want to be facilitating CEOs to understand the bigger vision of their company and how to empower the people within the company to be in alignment with that vision. Whatever it is, the work that you want to do, that you want to make great change in the world, whatever that drive is, whatever that innate recognition of your personal competence is, I'm here to tell you that as a person with high sensory intelligence, you can now learn how to be empowered by it, that you can bring it all together into alignment to be who you know you are in the world, to experience the level of meaning that you know is available to you, and for you to make the difference that you were born to make. I really, really, really thank you for listening to this point, to have stayed with me. I am very, very excited to continue to share this with you, to support you further in your journey. I really, really honor you, and I promise you, what you're trying to do, the pieces that you're trying to pull together to make sense of, it's possible. You can do it. I've done it. My clients are doing it. It's right there for you. So I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me. And wherever you are in the world right now, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Much love, many blessings. Bye for now. Join me on the next masterclass where I'll show you how to reveal your own high sensory intelligence, bringing you into alignment with your true purpose, career, business, and personal success. To register your place today, visit highsensoryintelligence.com.